Welcome to the Attack the Rack podcast. I'm your host, Curtis Leslie, and you are tuning in to the #1 rated podcast on the planet, brought to you by Get to 2 Media. All right, so today we are going to get into some NBA. The playoffs have begun. We are going to talk some Major League Baseball. The season has begun, and we'll recap the Masters, specifically talking about Tiger Woods and how he played. We'll also touch on the confirmation of Ketanji Brown Jackson, and once again, more politicians and media are lying about the parental rights in education bill down in Florida. All right, the 2022 Masters Championship has come to a close. Scottie Scheffler won big, finished -10, dominated pretty much the entire tournament. But as always, the story was Tiger Woods, and even more so this year, as this was his first event since sustaining some serious injuries in a car accident a little over a year ago. Tiger finished at +13. This was his worst showing in his career at the Masters. Round 1 and round 2, not so bad. Round 1, he finished at 1 under. Round 2, he shot a +2, which put him at +1 going into the weekend, which did allow him to make the cut. And then in round 3 and round 4, he shot a +6, both of those days, +6 being the worst round he's ever had at the Masters. Now, I still think this was a huge success for him. Just making it through the 4 rounds was a huge positive. He did look like he was in a lot of pain at times. He was even using a golf club as a cane. He was hobbling around quite a bit. He got nothing but support, though, from the crowd all weekend long. They gave him a huge ovation as he finished 18 on Sunday, and I'm sure the Masters was more than happy to have him. My assumption would be that ratings are always higher when he plays, whether he plays good or not, and whether he's at the top of the leaderboard or not. It will be interesting to see if Tiger ever does be competitive in any tournament again. We certainly know he will do everything he can to get back to that form. He is a very hard worker, and he does everything he can to keep his body in shape. However, he is 46 years old, and no one older than 46 has ever won the Masters. Jack Nicklaus won it at 46. And then there's actually only been 4 golfers, 46 and older, that have ever won a major. In addition to Jack Nicklaus winning the Masters at 46, Phil Mickelson won the PGA at age 50. Julius Burrows also won the PGA at age 48. And Tom Morris Sr. won the Open Championship at age 46. Tiger has said he plans on playing in the Open Championship July 14 through July 17. All right, so the NBA playoffs have arrived. They tip off on Tuesday. I'm not sure when my producer Dal is going to be able to get this posted, so the results of Tuesday's games may already be out by the time you hear this. But Tuesday, 7 o'clock, we got the Cavaliers against the Nets, followed by the Clippers and the Timberwolves. And then Wednesday's games, 7 o'clock, Hornets against the Hawks, and then followed by the Spurs and the Pelicans. Now let's look at the playoff picture as a whole. So Tuesday's games and Wednesday's games are play-in tournament games. So in the Western Conference, the Timberwolves and the Clippers are battling it out for the 7th seed. And then the loser of that matchup will then face the winner of the Pelicans and the Spurs. And the winner of that then will receive the 8th seed. In the Eastern Conference, the Nets and the Cavaliers are battling it out for the 7th seed. The loser of that matchup will face the winner of the Hawks and the Hornets, and the winner of that will then receive the 8th seed. So in the Western Conference, the Suns are the 1 seed, the Grizzlies are the 2 seed, the Warriors the 3 seed, Mavericks the 4 seed, Jazz the 5, Nuggets got the 6th seed, and then the 7th and 8th seed are to be determined. The matchups that are already set in stone in the West for the first round, the Mavericks take on the Jazz, and the Warriors take on the Nuggets. In the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat got the 1 seed. The Boston Celtics got the 2 seed. The Milwaukee Bucks, defending champions from last year, they got the 3 seed. The 76ers got the 4 seed. The Raptors got the 5 seed. The Bulls got the 6 seed. And then, obviously, the 7th and 8th seed are to be determined, meaning that the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics do not know yet who they will play. But the matchups that are set in stone, the 76ers will face the Raptors, and the Bucks will face the Bulls. In the West, I think it's going to be very difficult for anyone to beat the Suns. They pretty much dominated the Western Conference this year. They actually have 8 more wins than the 2 seed, the Memphis Grizzlies. I would say there's no doubt the Suns should make it to the NBA Finals. One matchup I'm really excited to watch in the West is the Golden State Warriors versus the Denver Nuggets. I think that'll be a really tight series and with a lot of excitement. In the East, I don't think there really is a clear favorite. The top 3 seeds, the Heat, the Celtics, actually the top 4 seeds. The Heat at the 1 seed, they only had 2 more victories than the 2 seed, the 3 seed, and the 4 seed. I think the East is wide open. Certainly the Heat could make it to the finals. I think the 76ers could make it to the finals. The Bucks could make it to the NBA Finals. And certainly the Celtics have a shot. One series I would love to see in the East would be if the Nets could knock off the Cleveland Cavaliers in the play-in tournament and then face the Boston Celtics. I think that would be a great series. Obviously, Kyrie, the former Celtic, that'll bring some excitement to the series. Also, I think Brooklyn, even though they're the 7th seed, with Kyrie now playing in all games, I think they could make a little run. We will see. But what we do know is that the next couple months of the NBA playoffs should be exciting.
All right, I'm going to take a quick break and be right back with more of the Attack the Rack podcast. And welcome back to the Attack the Rack podcast.
All right, so Major League Baseball season is underway. Most teams are into I think all teams are into their second series of the season. The season kicked off with a huge rivalry series between the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. The opener was rained out. The Yankees ended up taking 2 of the 3 games they played, highlighted by a 6-5 victory in 11 innings. In the American League, so far the Tampa Bay Rays and the Chicago White Sox and also the Houston Astros all off to hot starts. They each only have 1 loss. And then in the National League, the Cubs only have 1 loss, the Cardinals only have 1 loss, and the Colorado Rockies only have 1 loss. And then over in the National League East, the New York Mets are in first place at 4-2. Off to a hot start at the plate, Nolan Arenado has 3 home runs for the St. Louis Cardinals. Byron Buxton also has 3 home runs for the Minnesota Twins. And Seiya Suzuki has 3 home runs for the Chicago Cubs. Jose Ramirez has knocked in 11 runs already for the Cleveland Indians. And then, of course, this early in the season, batting averages are completely inflated. No need to even talk about those. Couple big series coming up this weekend. The Red Sox are at the Tigers. Cleveland Indians are at Cincinnati Reds. Chicago Cubs at Pittsburgh. New York at Philadelphia. Los Angeles Dodgers are going to Minnesota. Kansas City Royals are going to the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Houston Astros are at the Arizona Diamondbacks. All right, so now we are on the 4th episode in a row where I've discussed the Parental Rights in Education Act down in Florida, which was signed a little over a week ago by Governor Ron DeSantis. This bill simply prohibits teachers from talking about sex and sexuality and anything sexual in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade, which most people, again, as I mentioned before, if they actually knew what was in the bill, they would probably be on board with that. Well, here we go again. Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation, was on the left-wing talk show The View last week, and host Ana Navarro brought up the bill. Now, what do you think she called the bill? You guessed it. She called it the Don't Say Gay Bill, which, again, nothing in the bill has anything to do with being against homosexuality, transgenderism, anything in that realm. In fact, the word gay is not even mentioned in the bill. So anyone that calls the bill don't say gay, or tells you that the bill is against the LGBTQIA plus community is being disingenuous. So anyway, host Ana Navarro was discussing the bill with Pete Buttigieg, and she had mentioned that Pete's husband had said that this bill could kill kids, meaning that the results of the passing of the bill could end up resulting in deaths of kids. This is very dangerous for someone to say on national television. Now, I would hope that being a high political figure, Pete Buttigieg would have actually read the bill. My assumption would be that he has. So when he comes on a show like The View, and the question was, asked by Ana Navarro to Pete Buttigieg, it was, do you agree with your husband when the husband said this bill could kill kids? And he said yes. Go ahead and take a listen.
Called Don't Say Gay law now, which he says will kill kids. Do you agree? Obviously LGBTQ yourself, and you are now a parent.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this?
He's right.
So again, my assumption would be that Pete Buttigieg, being the Secretary of Transportation, which is a pretty high position in the government, would have read this bill. And if he has, I don't know that for sure, but if he has read this bill and pushes this narrative that Ana Navarro is trying to push, that this bill is in some way against the LGBTQAI plus community, then he's blatantly lying. And again, this is really dangerous misinformation to be spreading. Now, has Ana Navarro read the bill? Maybe she has, maybe she hasn't. If she has, obviously she's pushing a false narrative and blatantly lying as well. But that's par for the course with The View.
All right, I'm going to take another quick break. I'll be right back with more of the Attack the Rack podcast. But first,
it's getting to be that time of the year where across the country temperatures are going to start to rise, and the need for air conditioning will be very important to citizens across our great land. Today's episode is sponsored by air conditioning. I myself am a proud user of air conditioning. If you live in a warm climate, which for the next few months, no matter where you're at in the country, you may need air conditioning to keep the inside of your home cool. Air conditioning is an incredible product, and if it is a product that you have not yet tried out, I highly recommend it.
and welcome back to the Attack the Rack podcast.
So this past week, Ketanji Brown Jackson was confirmed or approved or whatever you want to call it, and will come, I believe, June, officially be a member of the Supreme Court. Now, I'm going to be one of the very few people that are going to be honest and truthful about this. Guess what? I didn't watch any of the hearings. So how can I be for or against this? And guess what? Most people are like me. They didn't watch the hearings, yet they somehow, some way, have what they believe is an educated opinion on this. It cracks me up. You know, I see people posting how excited they are that she's a member of the Supreme Court. And what I would love to do is say, give me one reason why. During her career, cite one thing that excites you about her now being on the Supreme Court. And most people could never be able to do that. And then the same goes for the people that are against it. You didn't watch the hearings. You're seeing people post that she's pro-pedophilia, and now rightfully so, you should be against that. But if you would watch the hearings, you would have known that she is not pro-pedophilia. Now, I don't want to be hypocritical. I did say I did not watch the hearings, but I've seen plenty of clips in regards to them grilling her on her sentencing in cases involving pedophilia. And yes, the facts are she gave light sentences to convicted criminals of pedophilia, but that does not mean that she is pro-pedophilia. One thing that I find very sad about this whole thing is when she was asked to define a woman and she refused to do that. Obviously, and I've seen the clip, I'm not being hypocritical, I have seen that clip in full, and I just find it sad that she wouldn't answer that. I literally feel bad for her. She knows what a woman is. Every human being on the face of the earth knows what a woman is. She knows what a woman is. But obviously she is scared to give a definition of a woman because of the backlash she would receive from the left-wing politicians and the liberal media. And I just find that very sad, very disturbing, that she felt like she could not define a woman And it's obvious why. It's obvious that she was scared to do that because of the backlash she would receive. And guess what, guys? The backlash would come from a small amount of people. The majority, the overwhelming majority of people would have supported her defining what a woman is. But there's that small amount of people that have the loud voice that she was concerned with. And I find that very, very sad. You know, with people on the left, two things can't be true at once, right? She cannot be pro-LGBTQIA+, and then also define what a woman is. You have to be either, if you're on the left, you have to be all the way to the left. And I find that incredibly sad. You know, that reminds me of a debate I watched the other night. If you guys haven't checked out any of Alex Stein's stuff on social media and YouTube, you absolutely have to. It is gold. Well, he was on doing this debate, and the gentleman he was debating was pro-trans women being able to compete in women's sports. And then Alex Stein took the stance that no, trans women should not be allowed to compete against biological women. Now, one thing that I found, I mean, this is funny, but it's also disturbing, is that the gentleman that was claiming that trans women should be allowed to compete against biological women was calling Alex Stein transphobic and scared of trans people, and that's just ridiculous. That's not a valid point. That's not a point you should be making in a debate unless Alex Stein were to come out and say, I am scared of trans people. That was not what this debate was about. The debate was about, should trans women be allowed to compete in women's sports? That's it. That's what the debate was about. Alex Stein took the stance, no, they should not. This other gentleman, yes, they should. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is because the guy that took the stance that yes, trans women should be allowed to compete against biological women, when asked by Alex Stein, trans woman, so a biological man, have a baby? And this guy refused to answer the question. Everybody on the face of the earth knows in their heart that a trans woman cannot have a baby. So what I don't understand is why couldn't this guy just simply take the stance, hey, I believe trans women can compete and should be allowed to compete against biological women. Okay, fine. But why would he have to also now say that he doesn't know if trans women can have babies? It's mind-boggling to me. And sometimes I just laugh about it, and other times I think, how incredibly sad is this? This guy absolutely knows in his heart that a trans woman cannot have a baby, but he will refuse to say it. Again, with so many leftists, two things can't be true at once.
Well, that will do it. I really appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Again, if you could help me out by quick subscribing to my channel, hit the notification bell, and then like and leave a comment. And if you want, share it. I would greatly appreciate it. If you're interested in possibly being a sponsor for the show, please shoot an email over to get233@gmail.com. That's GET, the number 2, TWO, the number 33@gmail.com. Again, that's get233@gmail.com. Also, if you have any questions or concerns about the episode, feel free to send an email as well. Maybe I'll read them, maybe I won't. But if you're looking to possibly be a sponsor, I'll definitely read those. Just put sponsor in the subject.
I'd like to give a huge thank you to my producer, Dale. I'd also like to thank Jerry, Kramer, George, and Elaine.
And you know what? That was just the beginning.